and welcome to a mini episode of Invisible Walls. We have Daniel Kaiser here, and we just had to take advantage of him.
Well, that doesn't sound
exactly good. Like that. Immediately, again, we're here with Mike Damiani and Justin Spear in our always kind of new set. And there will be a full-on Invisible Walls where we'll go into the nitty-gritty about Xbox. But this is what? This is like an hour after the Xbox. Yeah. Xbox One.
Yeah.
No one got that name right.
No.
Zobix was kind of close.
Zobix was not close.
And this is kind of a reaction show. I'm getting some of the guys who weren't on the live stream yesterday. Justin, let me start with you. How happy and excited are you after watching that 60 Minutes?
Yeah, I don't know why I was watching it. You know, I felt like I coming to work at GameTrailers, and what am I watching? I'm not that into TV. Man. If I could say one nice thing, D-pad looks cool. That's about.
The D-pad looks cool.
Otherwise, it's a bit of a stretch. Yeah, I didn't really like it.
Yeah, Mike, let me get your 2 cents.
That was not good. Not good.
Do you want to give it a letter grade? Let's not do that.
Let's not do that. And actually, it wasn't. I mean, the press conference itself was. It felt like the bad parts of their E3 press conference. The parts
like where they have to talk to the shareholders.
They had all the social media stuff, all the apps. They got. It did not feel like it was a press conference for people necessarily interested in games until like the last 15, 20 minutes maybe. And then even then, it was what we expected. Like, you know, all the sports games, the big FPSs, and with the Call of Duty reveal, and that's what you're going to get on there. And I mean, it wasn't necessarily being disappointed. I kind of expected that's what it was going to be. The reveal of the hardware was, they put their money where their mouth is. They kind of trolled Sony by saying, like, wow, you did a reveal press conference for your system, but you don't show off the hardware. Right. Like Major Nelson said that. And then they come out and they like show it pretty quickly. Like, no, here it is, front and center. You know, take a look at it. But it looked huge. But I mean, I guess that goes with the Xbox, pedigree.
What they're going to do at E3 is they're going to lift it off. And it'll be a much smaller one.
Yeah,
like the slim reveal, they played it off 4 times.
Like seeing it next to Jeff in that one shot, like that really like showed how like big it was.
It's big.
Yeah.
It's really big. I think it looks. I mean, I honestly don't care too much about industrial design and all that, but it does look kind of sleek. I don't really care too much, but I didn't think it was like an eyesore. I think the Xbox One actually was like an eyesore, like the big X on it and stuff. And actually, the new PS3, the one that Nick the intern had, I think that looks pretty gross.
Those, the latest redesign with those like grooves or whatever the heck they are in that one, the ultra slim,
It felt kind of like I mean, would you guys agree, Kaiser, like kind of a casual show? They touched on like hardware stuff, but they didn't go really in depth.
Yeah, it was more for the masses than I had thought. Yesterday we were talking about, you know, who the target audience was going to be. You know, accurately stating that they were going to basically come out of the gate and show the hardware and give us the name. They did that. That's big. So now we know what it's called. Was the press conference itself kind of boring? Yeah, it was kind of boring because they didn't focus that much on the games, but we did learn a lot about the functionality. It was just a lot more top line than I had thought.
They kept a lot of the functionality stuff till kind of the interviews that like literally just like came out like like a little bit after, and that's the stuff that Microsoft wanted to dodge. It's the information they wanted to control, and that's the online, the used games, the backwards compatibility. And I'll just say this.
Let's steer it back to the actual press conference for now. I think there was all that stuff is. Don't get me wrong. That stuff is heinous, and we need to discuss it. But as a press conference kind of reaction, there's some okay stuff. Like I think the TV thing could have been maybe 90 seconds, and they could have showed that stuff off. I know this is really weak, but I did like how responsive it was. I hate waiting like pressing the guide button and pressing Y to go to the dashboard, and you can like go make a microwave burrito.
But aren't you always skeptical of those things until you actually do them? I mean, because it's all like, you know, presentation magic. So until we actually, I mean, yes, that's what they're saying.
Yeah.
They did say it was rocket science how this thing is going to basically perform with all the technology in it, which that is great. And if it does it, great. But I still remain always, all the time, no matter who it is giving a press conference, I'm a little skeptical until I actually experience it myself.
Is anyone going to use gestures?
I don't like that stuff. Do you guys?
No, I hate it.
I mean, I can't imagine doing that with my kids around. Like,
one of them looked like he was fondling a woman for one of them.
Play.
He's like, okay, and then we're pinching them back together. But I mean, it's cool tech. It looks like it's working better. I mean, just to talk about Kinect for 20 seconds.
Yeah.
The depth stuff, the the
Oh yeah,
nano thing.
it actually
the
looks
tech
way
is,
better.
looks,
Yeah.
it
looks
looks
like definitely improved.
cool.
It looks.
But I don't know if I want to use it.
It looks
right?
like
That's the big
what it
problem.
was
it's not for
supposed to
games,
do.
Not for
really. I
games.
don't know.
Yeah, it was what it's supposed to do is advertise back on the Xbox 360. It's
True.
finally doing what it was supposed to do back then. So
Yeah.
Can read your heartbeat. You remember there was like those. I think there was an. Wasn't there? There was an N64 Tetris in Japan where it like would read your pulse and like make the game harder. It never came out here. They could do some cool stuff
vitality
technically.
sensor. That's where it's
Oh,
going.
the vitality
That's
sensor.
where they're saving it
I
for.
totally forgot.
That-
I think Kinect is promising though in the next generation. Though with those things, it's just we have to experience it ourselves before we can officially know because it's all smoke and mirrors at a press conference. But I think the fact that it's included, which is their big thing, that you're getting the controller, you're getting the Xbox, you're getting the Kinect. It's going to be much more integrated. So now they know the audience is everyone for Kinect. So what developers do with it from a gameplay perspective is broader now.
And hopefully still optional.
And hopefully still optional, yes. If it is included, that would not, I mean, if it's mandatory, that's like forcing in Wii functionality with those games when they
Well, it's
first
like
came
you're
out.
a big Fable fan, right?
Yeah, I like the franchise.
What if Fable could be played 90% on the controller, but there were some mini games that were Kinect only? Would that ruffle your feathers or ruffle your hair, or would you be okay with something like that?
I mean, it would be interesting. It always comes down to, Microsoft's job is to provide the developers with the proper tools. The developers have to be the ones that are creative enough to implement them in positive ways. And, yes, scenarios like that or Mass Effect or Call of Duty and giving signals, I mean, it's cool, but it's not make or break for next generation. Make or break is going to be the things that they spoke about with the specifics of how powerful the hardware is. And, I think Kinect could be a good option, but it doesn't have to be mandatory.
Justin, you have something? I saw a little smirk over there.
Oh no, I was just thinking of the powerful emotional experiences of the next generation where I can see the emotion in my dog's
Next
face.
gen
Hey, dogs
That's
are
what I'm
cool.
looking forward to. Yeah, dogs are
Dogs
cool.
and logs.
I think before you switch over to the games real quick, it's the one thing that like the little kid inside me, the resistant trigger stuff. Sounds cool.
Yeah.
I hope it works well.
Yeah.
That actually kind of stood out for me as like a little highlight.
The
Yeah.
little motors, do they say? Is it?
Yeah, I think they're gonna be like resistant, right? Like they're gonna like have like push back or something like
The
that.
controller looks good.
Yeah,
I
it
always
did.
like the 360 controller. I think it's pretty great already. And they're like, hey guys, made it a little bit better. They got rid of the clunky battery pack.
Yeah. If it ain't broke, don't
There's
fix
a real
it kind of
D-pad
thing.
now.
But, I think for the hard just to get my 2 cents in on the box, like, yeah, it's huge. But at the same time, though, I mean, they're trying to be the thing in the living room. So if you think about the fact that I don't wonder if they went out of their way to say
To make it big?
to make it big, as if to dominate your experience.
Should have
in
been
the
like
living
an
room.
obelisk.
It sees
I
the
think.
Wii U over there and just hits it.
Well, why do you need the other devices? You don't need DVRs anymore. You don't need
Right.
this other stuff. You
That's an
now
interesting
have the
point.
Xbox thing, so they want to say, let's get it just over that edge of being comfortable so that it is the one thing in your living room, which
Don't
I don't
drop
like
it
the
on your
name
child,
by the way,
though.
Xbox One.
Yeah, really quick, the name.
Stupid.
It's
on.
kind of a weird backstep.
I thought, okay, I do want to say this about it. So everyone thought Wii U was a bad name.
Yeah.
And there's been confusion over like the name, like
this is
the branding and
content
stuff. So what happens when you go into GameStop and they go, hey, I'd like to get the Xbox One?
With New Super Mario Brothers.
I want to get
Like-
Madden for the Xbox One.
I mean, that's like,
what year?
they're setting
Nice.
themselves. I mean, they can have possibly avoid it, but to me, that it sounds like a branding nightmare. Like you go into a store, you ask for it, and you have some one of the salespeople who doesn't maybe know the difference between the two. It's like, wait, the Xbox One, like talking about the original Xbox or
That's
the
not
new?
going to happen.
That's not
There's
gonna-
too much time has drifted. And
I'm
they're
sure they'll
gonna
put out a
they're
press
gonna
release.
Blitz the marketing.
Walmart,
on this.
They'll tell you
at
what
They're
to
gonna
Walmart?
blitz
No,
the
I think-
marketing.
I don't know,
You can't buy
Walmart's-
Xbox One games at Walmart.
Well,
Not
yesterday we spoke
games,
about.
but I mean, I don't know. I think it just causes some confusion.
No, like again, I was making jokes about search engine optimization,
Well,
but it is a little weird.
I think
Oh,
people
yeah,
will
that's-
just refer to it now as Xbox because no one's really going to say Xbox One. People used to say, "Let me get that for 360." No one's going to say, "Let me get that for One." So
For
I
the
think
X.
for people will just start to revert, and we talked about that yesterday, reverting back to just the original Xbox. And I think that's what's going to happen. You'll see in the marketplace people just say, "I'll pick that up for Xbox," and they mean Xbox One.
Same like people would say PlayStation.
Right.
Yeah.
I think
Um,
XO.
Exo Manowar. Good comment.
Hugs and kisses.
Let's talk about the few games that were there. You play sports games. Is there anything you even want to say about the sports stuff?
I'm a sports fan, and I think that's a big deal what they said with the NFL. That's no small, partnership, and that I mean, just outside of the games, you look at the numbers and the metrics on fantasy sports. That's huge to be able to see that in real time on your Xbox.
But more specifically, what do you think of the EA sports stuff? At this
You know,
point? Smoke and mirrors, or just like, you know?
it's interesting that they have their own engine now, the Ignite, I guess, which, you know, I guess is something similar to, you know, the DICE engine for Frostbite. You know, like they're going to treat it the same way and kind of just have it for everything. You know, my concern was that seems like it's going to extend development time to have that much stuff inside the games, and they do these yearly iterations with those games. So I don't know how soon we'll get to the promise of what they're saying. It might be smoke and mirrors for a couple of years until we realize the potential. But there's a lot of potential there, like any next-gen console. And I don't know if the games are really realistic now. It's kind of hard to imagine how little tiny tweaks like that are going to augment the gameplay.
We don't have Bloodworth on, but did anyone have any big thoughts about Forza? It looked good.
Those sure looked like real cars.
Yeah, I mean,
it's hard to tell from the stream quality. It's like comparing it to like the recently announced GT6. So
yeah, but GT6 is also like PS3.
But still good on the PS3. I mean that's like the pinnacle of like last gen, you know, visuals for like a racing game. It's probably gonna be GT6. And then, I mean, again, we just saw it on the stream, so I don't. Who knows how the direct feed will look? But I guess as expected, I guess I'm just seeing the effect of it doesn't look like the big leap that I hope people didn't expect like a big leap in visuals. It just looks more polished. Hopefully, this all runs at minimum of 60 frames in 1080p, and it just. I mean, it looks like stuff's running on the.
Is there going to be a 1080? The question is there going to be a 1080p frame buffer? Because half the games right now are running at like 560. You know, not even running at 720.
Well, speaking of that, the Call of Duty engine, which
I did an interview with that guy and asked about the frame buffer, and he could not answer.
I mean, you know, the last Call of Duty engine wasn't even technically HD.
No, that's what I'm saying. Most of those games that was like 540p.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see that. But I mean, everything looked like it could be running on PC. To the best of my knowledge, like maybe the stream did something to it. Yeah. So that leap isn't there. I think from like PS2 to like PS3 or Xbox to Xbox 360. Maybe in the second round of games we'll see that difference. I mean, it's kind of expected, but it just looked like more of the same. It still looked good, but I guess we'll have to wait to E3 to see something that like sets it apart.
Quantum Break, Justin?
Oh yeah, it's, you know, Remedy is cool guys. It's good that they're doing an original new, you know, property, but there's not a lot you can tell, I guess, from
did they say it was going to be live action and gameplay?
I'm sure that a dude will get shot.
That was just trailer.
That's what they did with Alan Wake. You know, they'd have the little TVs that would have live action stuff in them. I think it's just something they like to dabble in.
Style.
Yeah, that's my guess.
I think the little girl is causing all these disasters.
You heard it here.
Spoiler!
I know it was an interesting blip, but like it looked good, but it wasn't interesting like enough. It's cool that's a new property. And before we talk about Ghosts, really briefly. 15 new titles, 8 of them new franchises.
Yeah.
Are we going to see 15 games at their press conference?
Are
they going to have a good press conference after this? I'm going to say now, yes. I think they.
Yeah.
I think, you know, like Major Nelson said, this is going to be about hardware and interface. E3 is going to be about games. If they have 15 launch titles, Xbox first-party launch titles
to discuss. They said for the year, right? I think
within the first, the first year.
But if they bring half of that, if they bring 7.5. If they bring 8,
I remember last year's press conference with Nintendo and Wii U, and they said they had all those games. Like, was it 15 new games you to see? A lot of that was kind of disappointing because it was like existing gen games just being on next gen essentially.
They said
I know, but
it's 8 brand new games.
8 brand new IPs, but are they going to only be on Xbox One, or are they?
They're talking about first party.
Just only on Xbox One or on Xbox 360.
That is a good point.
That's what
I think again we're going to see that cross generation stuff because I think even retailers and publishers are a little worried about how next gen's going to go.
That's what I want to see. But I mean, I don't doubt that like the E3 press conference will be better than this because they're going to focus on software, and I think the core audience of people who are more interested in this press conference, they're going to get more of that press conference in terms of like the software. At least they did the hardware specifications to kind of counter like Sony's claims, but the rest of it was kind of ho-hum until they got to the software.
Right.
And finally, Ghosts. I'm going to be quiet. I did an interview, did a first take. I'm just curious what you guys kind of thought. I mean, they're trying to position it as a new Infinity Ward, a new Call of Duty.
That franchise and that game is so big, it's is that going to rope in new people? They're talking about innovations within multiplayer, about these real-time events, things that happen both in the game, things that are triggered by players. I think they seem like they're genuinely trying to avoid stagnation, but at that size, it's also kind of difficult to change things too much and deviate from the formula without, without turning some people off. So I think, we're going to have some promises. What the actual fulfillment is remains to be seen. But the concept sounds interesting if you're a fan of Ghosts or Call of Duty in general. Which
I love Ghosts.
What they didn't show you was the dog versus dog multiplayer mode.
Yes!
Michael,
I heard that was rough.
No, I didn't mean to go there.
Yeah.
I mean like dogs with guns.
Dogs with
Dogs with
guns,
like, mortars on the back. Yeah, dog versus tank.
And any 2 cents on Ghosts?
I'm just gonna guess. I mean, it seems obvious that this is their either replacing Modern Warfare or is the new third entry. Like they'll have the Modern Warfare series, they'll have Black Ops, and then they'll have Ghost. I mean, it seemed like they were positioning it as that because they said. But I mean, the trailer kind of made it sound like from the guys who brought you Modern Warfare series. Maybe this is. It sounded to me a little bit like this is the successor series. Like Modern Warfare was kind of like to some people, I guess, felt tired and they needed to do something new. So maybe a name change is enough to like keep that boost in sales going for them or rekindle that boost because I don't know if it declined last time. But I guess I'm just also tired of like the concept like, hey, America got like leveled by something and it's like now you're fighting but you're the underdog and I'm like I don't know, that story seems like
the next gen underdog.
The next gen underdog.
With a dog.
But now you have dogs. Yeah, there's so many dogs in here. So
I
don't know. It's Call of Duty. It'll probably still sell well, and I'm sure hopefully they'll do something new with it. But most of the shots were like the action set pieces, and it felt like a bunch of scenes you're not gonna have any control, or you just like hold down the button to initiate the scene. So when they start delivering on the promise of, oh, maybe you have choices that really impact your game, and I don't know, we'll see.
Well, any final thoughts before we wrap this up, especially from you, DK? Because
we didn't say anything about the Halo Spielberg thing, which I think it's interesting that they're doing that, and they didn't really clarify, unless I'm wrong, about exactly where that's going to be broadcast. I'm assuming exclusively on Xbox One or whatever, or I don't know what their strategy is for that, but that's a pretty big deal to have Steven Spielberg associated with Halo. I mean, that's like two big things.
Maybe.
So
I do remember there was an episode of Freakazoid where they got the Animaniacs, and they're like, Steven Spielberg likes us better, and there's a little animated Steven Spielberg, and he's like, I don't know who you are. Because both their series were like, Steven Spielberg presents.
Yeah.
So
well, I mean, it has potentially broadening implications for Xbox to say, look at all the hype surrounding Star Trek right now. Everyone's going to see that movie. Everyone loves that movie. If they can do something cool to bring in new audiences into gaming, it could be a nice way of doing that with those big IPs in his name.
You guys, anything else?
I think the whole thing is sick. Simple, integrated, complete. Sick. That's like sick.
It's
Wow.
sick.
No,
Can you top
it's
that
just
down,
like
Yanni?
it's just like maybe they got all that stuff out of the way and then E3 will be great. I understand that it's I didn't expect a lot of cool stuff, but let's worry about those other disastrous rumors flying around until I don't know. I don't know what to feel right now.
Well, I think we're going to
I don't know
see games,
how to
and I think
feel.
we care about games a lot, right?
I like games more than TV. Yeah.
Cool.
What about the later this year?
We'll see.
That was a good reveal.
I mean,
Oh,
How they
that
set
was
it up.
crap. I was like, oh my god, they're going to do it. But
Nope.
yeah. I mean, did they do that right? You think?
No.
You think they needed a release date?
Well,
today?
they could have. I mean, it just seemed. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying the actual delivery was
Oh, okay.
sloppy.
Yeah, but I do think they needed to at least confirm this year because I think most people were kind of confident it
You
was
can
coming
probably
out.
pre-order it
But
right
there were
now,
those
right?
rumors that like what was that report came out that said they like were 6 months behind.
But
So
what did that mean?
But I mean, some
Yeah.
people might take that as like maybe it's slipping into Q1 of 2014 or something to get out of the way of PS4, so there's enough space. But now it's like no, it's coming out this year. It's going to go head to head with PS4. You're getting the console war you've been waiting for.
Well, speaking of the console war, we're going to keep this war going. There's going to be a final bossman on Xbox tomorrow, Wednesday. There's going to be invisible walls, full-on invisible walls about this stuff on Friday, and we're going to be doing some other fun videos as well. So keep watching Game Trailers for all your Xbox One, I got to get used to saying that, needs. And thank you, DK, for showing up.
Hey, thanks for having me, man.
Kill it with fire. Okay.
See this and other GT shows and game reviews on the GT Originals iOS app, available now on the App Store.